The Hinterkaifeck Murders 1922. This video is for educational and documentary purposes only. What you're about to hear is a real case. Viewer discretion is advised. You're watching True Crimes AI. In the spring of 1922, on a quiet farm in rural Germany, something wasn't right. Footsteps were heard in the attic. Strange noises in the night and footprints in the snow leading to the house, but never leading away. Days later, 6 people would be found dead, and whoever did it may have stayed behind, living in the house, feeding the animals, walking the same floors, as if nothing had happened. The farmstead of Hinterkaifeck sat isolated near the town of Gerbern, surrounded by fields and forest. It was quiet, almost cut off from the world. The family who lived there kept to themselves. Andreas Gruber, 63. His wife, Chilia, 72. Their daughter, Victoria, 35, and Victoria's 2 children, Chilia, 7, and Joseph, just 2 years old. A new maid, Maria Baumgartner, had only just arrived. 6 people, all living under one roof. From the outside, it looked like a simple farming life, but inside there were tensions. Rumors in the village, stories about the family that made others uneasy, and in the days leading up to the murders, something strange began to happen. Just days before the attack, Andreas Gruber reported something unusual. He had heard footsteps coming from the attic, but when he checked, no one was there. Then came another discovery. A newspaper from Munich found on the property. No one in the household had bought it. And then the footprints, tracks in the snow leading toward the house, but none leading away. That's when things took a turn, because whatever or whoever had come to that farm might not have left. On March 31st, 1922, the new maid, Maria Baumgartner, arrived. It was her first day at the farm. That same evening, everything would change. Sometime during the night, one by one, members of the household were drawn out to the barn. We don't know how, we don't know why, but 4 of them, Andreas, his wife, Victoria, and young Chilia, were led there, and they never came back. After that, the attacker entered the house. Inside, Joseph was still in his crib. Maria was in her room. They were killed there, 6 victims, all in one night. Days passed. April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd. Neighbors began to notice something was off. The family didn't show up to church. Mail started piling up. But oddly, the farm didn't seem abandoned. Animals had been fed. Smoke had been seen from the chimney. It was as if someone was still there. Finally, on April 4th, neighbors decided to check. They approached the property, entered the barn, and what they found was something they would never forget. Inside the barn, 4 bodies were discovered, stacked together, covered with hay, hidden but not well enough. Inside the house, 2 more victims were found, the entire family gone. The weapon used was a Matica heavy farming tool. It was found on the property, and this is where the case becomes deeply disturbing, because the evidence suggested the killer didn't leave. Investigators quickly realized something chilling. The farm had been maintained, animals had been fed, food had been eaten, the kitchen showed signs of recent use. Someone had been living there after the murders. Sleeping, eating, walking through the same rooms, possibly 4 days, and no one noticed, no one suspected. It was as if the killer had simply taken over the farm. When authorities began their investigation, they faced immediate challenges. This was 1922. Forensic science was limited. No advanced DNA tests, no modern crime scene analysis. Investigators relied heavily on interviews and local knowledge. They questioned neighbors, examined the family's past, and what they found added another layer to the mystery. Andreas Gruber had a controversial history. There were serious allegations involving his daughter Victoria. Investigators considered whether this could have created motive, a reason for someone to target the family. Multiple suspects were examined: neighbors, former acquaintances, people with possible grudges, but no one could be definitively tied to the crime. Over the years, several theories have emerged. One of the most discussed is the personal motive theory, that the killer had a direct conflict with the family, someone who knew them. Then there's the former lover theory. Victoria had past relationships that drew attention. Some believe a jealous or rejected partner could have been responsible. A robbery was also considered, but money was left behind. Nothing of significant value was taken, which makes that theory unlikely. Another possibility is the insider theory, that the perpetrator knew the farm, knew the layout, knew how to move unnoticed, and perhaps even lived nearby. There's also the idea that more than one person was involved, though evidence for that remains unclear. Each theory answers some questions, but leaves others behind. Decades have passed since the murders. The case has been revisited multiple times. Modern investigators have looked at the evidence again, applied new techniques, re-examined old theories, but the truth remains just out of reach. No definitive suspect, no clear conclusion. Only fragments of a story, frozen in time. Today, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved. It is one of Germany's most infamous historical cases, a mystery that has lasted over a century, and one that continues to capture attention even now because of its brutality, its strangeness, and one haunting possibility: that the killer was there long before the crime and stayed long after. A remote farm, a quiet family, strange signs that went unexplained, and a crime that still has no answers. 6 lives were taken, and whoever did it walked away. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they stayed longer than anyone realized, watching, waiting, living in silence among the aftermath. Cases like this don't just fade. They linger in the unanswered questions, in the eerie details, in the feeling that something about it was never fully understood. If you enjoy real, detailed, true crime cases like this, make sure to subscribe. Because every case deserves to be remembered, and every victim deserves justice. You've been watching True Crimes AI.